get some side profiles in this bitch. Yeah, luxury lumber is a lucrative business. Tell the tale.
Yep. So my partner, he got his tea. He's getting his tea together.
Yeah, you know, some tea. I done already did my facial routine. You feel me?
Okay. What's going on, Krishan? Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year, 2023. Wow.
That is the year.
Man, this earth is ancient.
Earth is ancient. I'm ancient.
And the people of it are ancient. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Joan Moten. Welcome in, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Happy New Year, everybody. If you missed our New Year's show, which was last Thursday, welcome to our Tuesday show. And Happy New Year if you missed that opportunity to get a Happy New Year from us. Welcome, everybody, to a new show at the top of 2023.
Yeah.
My name is Troy Skinner. I am your host. Sitting next to me is my co-host with the most,
Antonio Dean.
Yes, he had to give you guys a sigh and a relief that he made it through the day. He's got a lot going on, but so do we all. So hopefully your new year is starting out well and you're doing things. Hopefully you're not a resolution person. I can't stand those people. I got my New Year's resolutions and, you know.
A lot of y'all niggas in the way at the gym right now.
The gym makes money. That's one of the things where, you know, if you're able to invest in something, a good gym at the beginning of the year, man.
Yeah, but stay the fuck out of my way at the gym right now. I don't need you there at 2 a.m. I don't need you there at 2 p.m.
Yeah, don't need them at all because they're going to drop off. But, hey, it's all good, man. Anybody that's willing to do something to better themselves, I'm totally in alignment with that. So, guys, we have a great show in store for you guys tonight. But I want to get you caught up on what we are looking forward to doing. At the end of this month, we will be focusing on moving and migrating over to YouTube completely. So if you definitely don't want to miss all the great content of what we be doing in regards to our show, you want to make sure you are over there on our YouTube channel to watch us and support us on YouTube. We will have an open chat, and you'll be able to super chat and do a lot of different things there at the YouTube channel. All of our shows are lined up and available at any time on YouTube. So if you missed the show, if you missed a topic that you feel would be really good to follow up on, you can go to our YouTube channel, and that's YouTube CMCT_show at any time, and all the shows are listed there. Also, we will be having our first guest next week, Jackson Drumgoole, a very good friend of mine that I've known for over 25 years. And it will kind of segue into what we are looking to talk about a lot, which is the family dynamics dealing with black people in particular. Tonight's show is about whether or not people should be parents. We're going to talk in full detail about that later on, but right now, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jackson Drumgoole, our guest for next week. He's an Army veteran. He was also GQ Father of the Year alongside Bill Clinton. I know, right? Hey, man, he may not have been a great president, but he was a good father to Chelsea, I guess.
Perhaps.
Jackson is also a book writer. He's a husband, and he owns and operates the Drumgoole Family Enterprises. And so he will be joining us next week. You'll see the ad pop up sometime this week, and he'll be joining us live and interviewing with us in regards to what it is to be a great father in the black community, but a father overall. He focuses, like how our show is, on the black community. So he focuses on a lot with black fathers, but his book was even about being a father and getting it right as a father. You know, he talks about his failures as a father and how he changed everything over to be a better father. His dad, if I'm correct, is 95 or something like that.
God damn.
His dad is up there. So, and doing well. So we'll talk about that as well. Hey, welcome, Scott Lady Muse. How you guys doing? Melky Witch, what's up, man? Yeah. So also we are going to be uh, raffling on a safe. We'll be raffling off a safe, as we say. If you're not on YouTube right now, you can't see the safe. But what we'll do is we'll end up, since we are still dealing, still dealing with our fan base here on Instagram and Facebook. We'll make up a picture. That way we can hold it up to a little poster.
That'll work.
So you guys can see the safe, because the safe is badass, man. It's
You can hide all kind of shit in there,
yeah, it's a $565 safe,
illegal or otherwise.
and it's from Stillwater Home. It's from Stillwater. It's a home and document safe. And if you don't know anything about safes, safes are obviously great to have in the household if you have guns and if you have documents.
If you got a porn collection that you want to keep away from your kids or
You don't want
your
nobody.
roommate.
You don't want nobody to get to this stuff. You can get this safe, and we are raffling off this safe, and so we just put the safe up. It's a nice looking safe, man. Anyway, for the tickets, it'll be $5 per ticket. If you want to get into the raffle, $5 per ticket.
Correct.
It'll be $10 for 3 tickets, $20 for 5 tickets, and $50 for 15 tickets. And again, it's a Stillwater safe. It's a home and document safe. It's valued at $565. It's a catch if you get into this raffle and get some tickets and end up getting this safe. So we are going to use the whole month of January and half of February. And I guess by the end of February, we will give it away.
Yes, she's brand new, never been used.
Never been used.
Never had nothing in her.
Nothing.
It's a version safe.
And we will be only expecting you to handle the shipping costs, and it's not that much. So, yeah.
You know what? I'll handle the shipping costs.
Well, look
so
at
all
that.
you got to do is buy raffle tickets.
Just buy raffle tickets. So you can go to our link tree and just put that there, I guess. We're going to have a...
Oh, I'll add it on there.
We'll add a link that says raffle ticket, and then you'll be able to go and buy some of these raffle tickets. So we can raffle off the safe. And we will give you guys a direct date in which it will be completed, and for you guys to be able to buy raffle tickets up to that point. But that's a way of supporting CMCT and supporting us in regards to what we're doing here at the complex. Big shout out to Wayne LaBarnway, because that's how we got the safe.
Yep, he let us have her
so
that you guys could put something in her. The safe.
That is. Okay. So again, once you guys get a chance to be a part of that, we definitely would appreciate that. And one last thing of order that I need to talk about is Thursday I'll be bringing in a book that one of our listeners, Michael Irwin Walker, wrote called At Black Peep Stop, and it's just basically about the black community. I got the book in the mail. Mm-hmm. I'll bring it in on Thursday. I wanted to read a couple of chapters, Michael, if you're listening before. I don't like pubbing up stuff that I'm not into, so I wanted to read a couple of chapters. I read one chapter so far, and it's really good. It's a good book. It's a really good book. Michael, you're what's called a hyper creative. Your mind is constantly going, and I see that even in reading that chapter. I was just like, wow. But it's a very harsh, direct look at the black community and holding them accountable. And
the entire black community, men and women?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Everyone. And then, not pointing fingers as much as it's about opening eyes. If you go to his Instagram page, it's at Michael_Irvin_Walker, Irvin with an I. Again, that's at Michael_Irvin, Irvin with an I, _Walker. And the book, again, is at Black, BLK_Peep Stop, PEEPSTOP. And so far, from what I've read, I have really enjoyed it. It's for intellectuals. It's for people who like to think. You know what I mean?
I like to think sometimes.
Yeah, so you probably would really enjoy this book.
If you can read.
If you can read.
Order this book.
Hello,
What's
Claudia.
the name of the book again? Is it on Amazon or anything?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's called like the @ sign, Black, BLK, _ Peep Stop, PEEP Stop, all one word, Peep Stop.
Okay.
And so I guess when I read
Is that an Instagram handle?
that is his hand. Well, no, that's the book handle.
The book has its
Yeah,
own.
it has its own handle. Yeah, but
We'll follow at BLK _ Peep Stop.
Yeah, yeah. And check out that book because it's very, very, very good. And on his page, he's been doing reading excerpts as well. So you can get to understand a little bit more about the book before you purchase it, if that's what you want to do. So, yeah, just a couple of things we wanted to go over. But you definitely want to get up on that safe, and you definitely want to be here this Thursday. We'll talk a little bit more about the book. And then next Tuesday, our first official guest of our show and of the year. And it will be Jackson Drumgold. He's an amazing person, and I think you guys will really get to learn a lot from him. He does a lot of work with groups and the community, Black community in particular. So this should be a very interesting show on next Tuesday. All right, but that will also coincide with what we're talking about tonight, which is about
you guys going to our link tree. And at the top of that link tree, there's a tipping option. And you guys definitely want to go to Linktree and tip us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the lights are getting dim, as you can see. You don't want dim lights on a podcast, do you?
Yeah.
Not on a podcast that you like.
Absolutely.
A show.
No doubt.
Got to speak it into existence now. So thank you guys for wanting to go to our Linktree.
And helping us out.
And
thank you to everyone who's tuning in tonight. If you have any questions and or any statements, please, you can DM us or you can chime in at any time. We are not doing so much of a opening of the show.
It's almost always an open discussion.
Yeah, at this point. So, all right. So we're talking about parenting, and
Wait, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Can we please turn the heater off?
Yes, we may.
We
turn it down. Absolutely.
I'm trying.
All right. It's nice and toasty and crispy here. The weather's been really crazy in Georgia lately.
I might even put on a hat tonight.
It's been going from 74 degrees and dropping down to like 55 or 40 and then going back up again. And there's people walking around in shorts and T-shirts and tank tops and
nobody walking around naked.
No, then they're wearing hats and stuff. It's crazy, man. So welcome, everybody. We are going to be talking about whether or not having children is in your future and should it be in your future.
Whether or not it should be in your future.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does it mean to be a parent? Let's look up the definition of parent.
Sure.
Parent, because I think a lot of times people get that definition incorrect. Not to be somebody's friend as a child, not to be somebody's buddy. You know, me and my kids are buddies. We're friends first. But a parent, what does it mean to be a parent? The definition of a parent.
All right, really quick. Since this thing always want to hate on us. All right. A father or mother, the parents of the bride, be or act as a parent to a child. What else y'all niggas got? I knew there was going to be some legal definition. We don't need that. A source or origin of a smaller or less important part. Might not like that one.
Over there in the corner. Well, that's Wikipedia.
Is that Wikipedia? Yes, it is. Good. Wikipedia usually does us well. A parent is a caregiver of the offspring and their own species. In humans, a parent is the caretaker of a child, where child refers to offspring, not necessarily age. A biological parent is a parent whose gamete resulted in a child, a male through the sperm and a female through the ovum. Biological parents are first-degree relatives and have 50% genetic meat. A female can also become a parent through surrogacy. Some parents may be adoptive parents who nurture and raise an offspring, but are not biologically related to the child. Orphans without adoptive parents can be raised by their grandparents or other family members. A parent can also be elaborated as an ancestor removed one generation. With recent medical advances, it is possible to have more than 2 biological parents. Somebody help us out with that one? You know what I'm saying? The fuck does that mean? Examples of third biological parents include instances involving surrogacy or a third person who has provided DNA samples during an assisted reproductive procedure that has altered the recipient's genetic material.
That's crazy.
That sounds fucking scary,
That's
nigga.
crazy.
That sounds like some form of eugenics. The most common types of parents are mothers, fathers, step-parents, and grandparents. A mother is a woman in relation to a child or children to whom she has given birth. The extent to which it is socially acceptable for a parent to be involved in their offspring's life varies from culture to culture. However, one that exhibits too little involvement is sometimes said to exhibit child neglect, while one that is too involved is sometimes said to be overprotective, cosseting, nosy, or intrusive. And then they got all this. Is any of this what we're really looking for?
No, I think we got the definition.
Real quick, let's see. No Merriam-Webster, none of that shit. Oh, shit, I thought I'd open up another tab. I guess I didn't. My mistake. Fucked that up a little bit, didn't I? There we are. One that begets or brings forth offspring, a person who brings up and cares for another. An animal or plant that is regarded in relation to its offspring, the material or source from which something is derived, a group from which another arises and to which it usually remains subsidiary. Alrighty. I would say that does it.
Yeah, so you guys have an idea of the definition of parent.
Take care of your kids, nigga.
Right. The definition of parent. And so with that being said, I know a lot of people who are listening are either parents and or maybe considering being parents down the road. You know, it's really sad nowadays to watch a lot of stuff going on in the news. Another, I think, basketball player got a girl pregnant or whatever, and they were like, him and his baby mama. Yeah, him and his baby mama. It's not, you know, it's not him and his wife anymore. You know, it's not, you know, it's like people already set up their relationships to be a thing of we're going to co-parent. We are going to, yeah, it's like, you know, there's no such thing in my opinion. You know, your parents are plural word of one word.
Parenting,
Parents.
Co-parenting.
Yeah, you know, that means confusion pretty much.
Yes,
because
it does.
Now both parties can give their opinion of what they think that child's life should be instead of working together
Separately, rather
yes, instead of working together.
Separate households.
Yeah. So I guess most of you will be asking, well, why is that an issue? Why do we feel that co-parenting is a problematic thing?
I don't feel.
Okay, all right. Well, why do we think co-parenting is a problematic issue or a thing? What about you? What do you think?
Co-parenting is an issue because at the child's inception, they are automatically introduced to confusion, separation, estrangement, chaos, displacement. The list goes on. Why would you do that to a child? A child needs absolute structure, especially in their formative years.
Stability.
Absolutely. And you're not providing that when the household is split up before the child can even walk. You know, so they're coming into the world at a disadvantage. And there are many statistics and observative reality that supports that statement.
You know, we talked about this before. We look at current day compared to the nuclear family, which was based on that. It was all about, okay, you know, you graduated from high school, you went to college, you found your mate, you got married, got a job, and you raised your children.
Correct.
Nowadays, I think, and I always go back to the Oprah movement. I think Oprah did more damage than help. You know,
Definitely your fault, Oprah.
she did, she did open up the forum to therapy, but there was a lot of talk shows around that time in the late '80s and the early '90s that spoke about therapy and having therapy as a mainstay of your life. But I think what Oprah did was put women in a place where they felt like they can have it all, they can do it all, they can be all. I can be the mother, I can be the wife, I can parent,
Because
I can
she was
have
having
a job, I can lose weight, I can continue on with my career.
That's because she was having hundreds of millions of dollars, at some point billions, and not acknowledging the reality that most men and women never see $100,000 in their lifetime. Most men and women never see $80,000 in their lifetime. You know, that's important to
Take in.
to acknowledge when you're offering, or when you have a platform and you're offering advice, you're offering perspective. You don't give people advice that only applies to someone who's in your social class or in your financial class. You know.
Yeah, so with that being said, there was a massive movement in regards to the liberal agenda of feminism. And so now when you see it, there's an old film, if you watch it, called Kramer versus Kramer. And it has Dustin Hoffman. It stars Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, and she
I've
comes.
never liked her name. It's a terrible name.
Yeah, but she's a brilliant actress, man.
Meryl
Or
Streep.
actor. She comes home one day. If you ever seen the film, she comes home one day and tells him, "I can't do this." The baby's not even barely a toddler, and she says, "I don't want to be a mother," and she leaves. She just literally leaves. She has everything set up for him.
I got hobbies, nigga. I'm out.
Yeah, she steps.
I got hobbies. I'm good.
Once the boy is 8 or 9, she comes back. She comes back and says, "I want him. I want him back. And he needs to be with his mother." After the man done raised the boy by himself, and she wants to break up, this little thing that they created. And she goes, "I go and I found myself." I think because the world has created this sense of whimsy for women, I call it whimsy. They feel like they can do whatever they want when they need to do it, and the child is the main person that suffers. Of course, if you're in a relationship and you're with someone who ends up becoming whimsical or was whimsical, and they start showing their whimsy colors,
Right.
You lose out, obviously, because you established a connection with someone and a commitment with someone that doesn't want to be with you, but the child loses more than anybody. And that whole co-parenting thing just becomes this thing of, it makes them feel better about themselves because they know that they're wretched in their actions. Because the actions of, "Oh, I'm just going to look out for me," is the highest level of selfishness. I always tell people when they ask me, "What do you think makes a great parent?" And I say, that person that loves. And I'm not talking about feeling love. I'm talking about love, sacrificial love. Like I'm doing what's necessary for my child to have what they need type of love. And sometimes that means you're going to negate yourself from having the time to get out and go and do certain things, or you're not going to be able to have the things that you feel like you should have had or would have had you not had children. Yeah. And so we fall into that a lot, and we see that a lot in media. I think media is the thing that introduced a lot of that to people. What do you think has to happen in regards to men dealing with that type of whimsical type of woman?
Well, number one, both men and women, I don't know if I want to say a societal charge or a primal charge.
Mm-hmm.
You're charged with certain roles in this world as a man or a woman before any of your wants or needs come into play. Because there's a certain level of structure that I believe we're all charged with that need be maintained, especially at the point that two people have agreed to take up a child, you know? So I can't say exactly what a man should do in that scenario because it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Yeah, so
You
should
have vetted. You should have vetted the woman. Women should be vetting men. At a much higher rate. Women should be vetting men at a more effective rate, in a more effective manner.
Well,
but men likewise.
I think with women, the problem becomes that level of freedom that they feel that they have, to where if I choose, it's my body. If I choose,
they're ignoring their societal charges, man. They're like I said, there's something that we're all charged with, just at the baseline of being a human. You know, men are supposed to build the world and provide women with a means to nurture the world that we build. And right now, it would seem a large mass of us are imbalanced according to that.
Yeah, the societal norms are definitely out of whack. The problem that I have is that I think, first off, by changing the structure of the family, now the confusion comes on where a child fits into people's lives, in a sense. So it's like, a lot of people go through these emotions of, oh, I want to have a kid. Everybody's having kids. I want to have a kid. And I think a lot of times it's harder for me to be down on some of the men because I know too many men who are great fathers. Like, I know personally. So it really upsets me on Father's Day when I see so many people post, well, Happy Father's Day to my mother because she was my father and my mother.
Yeah, I don't see men claiming to be good mothers and all of this kind
of
craziness.
So that bothers me because the thing is like I said, I know amazing fathers. Like, it's just when I hear people say, the running joke about my dad wasn't there and this and that, and it's just like, it's sad to watch because it's like, this is false. This is not the true essence of who a lot of black men are. Now, we're not saying that there aren't black men who negate their duties or there aren't mothers who negate their duties, but now it's more acceptable for mothers to be housewives, type mothers, where they feel like they're celebrities instead of being moms.
One of the things that I've seen, unfortunately, is if the child goes back at a certain age to reconnect with their father and find out who they are, very often they find out that the mother lied about a lot of different things concerning the father, that the mother pushed the father away, kept the kids away from the father legally, or, by threatening with legal action. And that's seems to have been more common than not, at least in the cases that I've seen, and I'm sure there's probably a statistic out there somewhere. But if that's the reality, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, I think
you can fight, you can lawyer up, and You know, men should know that they do have rights. They're gonna have to pay for them.
Yeah.
But you got rights. You can lawyer up and go and fight back. But you know, and I'm avoiding saying things like by far and large and majority because I don't know the numbers. But the observable reality typically is that the mother lied a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to protect her own
Ego.
or to save face in front of the children.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And why the dad's not there.
And women typically do have a tendency to make sure that the children choose sides, that her friends choose sides, that the family chooses sides, and so forth, because they need as much support that they can get when there's no father present.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that they're willing to admit. That's the actual reality behind that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just coming off of what Antonio is saying, that, you know, and the funny thing is you heard more about Gervonta supposedly and allegedly hitting her and doing things to her than you did when
What she did to him.
Right, when it finally came out on the truth. So
I said it last Thursday.
yeah, that's why we're kind of bringing this back up, and I'm going to read this to you guys. Basically, what's going on here? Gervonta Davis accuser walks back DV claims. Tank did not harm me. Now, if you're not familiar with the situation, basically Gervonta Davis, the boxer, and this is not pop culture night, but it's something that we had to talk about.
Relevant.
Because it's very relevant to what Antonio just said about mothers lying. Okay? Gervonta Davis was accused of hitting and holding his baby mother hostage, in a sense. He wouldn't let her leave in the truck in regards to her wanting to go home. So she called 911, and there was some audio tapes that came out, and he got arrested because of it. And, you know, mug shots and 911 audio tapes that came out, the TMZ had plastered. Everybody all over the world knew about it. And Gervonta went online and said, I never touched her. None of this never happened. I don't know why she's saying this. I'm innocent, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, people wanted to burn him in effigy. People wanted to, you know, just even some of the comments that people were saying, yeah, he's got a history of beating women, and he's this and he's that. He's the no good nigga. And
as if he hasn't grown since he was 21 and 22 years old. He's 28 now.
No pass, no grace. He's trash. You know, he's violent. You know, he's a boxer. I mean, everything under the sun.
That's the number one thing. This nigga's a knockout artist, yo.
Right. But apparently,
if he
supposedly
hit her,
he hit her. Allegedly, he hit her.
Come on, man.
Right?
She probably would not have been awake to tell the story, you know. Just being honest.
It ain't Ike and Tina, that's for sure, boy.
No, sir.
You know. But anyway, Gervonta Davis, accuser walks back, DV claims. Tank did not harm me. Even this title, like how this title works, it doesn't say Gervonta's innocent.
No, it doesn't.
Right? It just says accuser walks back, DV claims. What is domestic violence claims? So DV, so you would have to know that term, because this doesn't even make sense.
Well, they're not giving him grace, and that is 100% for the shock value.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Now it does say in the fine print up there, Gervonta Davis's accuser says boxer did not harm her or their daughter, but why is it in the fine print?
Right, and then like I said, DV, if you don't know domestic violence, then you don't know what this is. So anyway, the woman who accused Gervonta Davis of assault is doing an about face, now claiming that the star boxer did not harm me or our daughter, saying the frantic 911 call she made was unnecessary. Vanessa Paso, mom to Tank's daughter, took to social media on Friday and seemingly did a complete 180 writing. These past days have been hurtful and extremely exhausting for all parties involved. He doesn't need you to speak for him.
Nope.
I pride myself on being extremely private, really. This situation was the last thing I wanted to be made public, really. The state of our relationship has been in a fragile space, and Gervonta and I were both at fault for the argument. You notice she said Gervonta and I. It's wild people get perfect English, right? when they work to get that blame off of them. Paso continued, today we have sought the help necessary to move forward with our lives. I'm confident that we will succeed within our co-parenting dynamic with the counseling provided to us. As we previously reported, 28-year-old Davis was arrested and booked in Broward County, Florida, on Tuesday on battery domestic violence charge. According to court docs, police said Davis did actually and intentionally touch and strike the woman against her will and did intentionally cause bodily harm to her. Law enforcement authorities also said Gervonta struck his accuser on the right side of her head with a closed hand type of slap, causing the woman to suffer a facial injury and an abrasion on the inside of her upper lip. However, the 27-0, 25 knockout boxer adamantly denied the accusations against him from the start, saying, I never put my hands on my child, mother, nor my effing daughter. Are you effing crazy? While insisting the whole ordeal was nothing more than a money grab by his accuser. In fact, Davis contends the only reason the woman who claimed she was in fear for her life called the police in the first place was because she was pissed he wouldn't let her use his truck. That's why I remember she kept saying, I want to go home. Gervonta was released from jail on Wednesday and is still, at least as of now, scheduled to fight Hector Luis Garcia, on January 7th in Washington, D.C. Trash.
Oh, I hope he's in the right mind for that fight, man.
Trash. And, he might have even lost sponsorship and respect from people in regards to this.
Quickly.
So why do you think women do that kind of stuff? We talked a little bit about it, right?
Because women don't have power to fight men.
Mm-hmm. Physical power, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When women don't have the power to fight men the way that they hot balloon their fucking egos and their minds to think so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's so much of it in television, reality shows, even in the fictional shows, man. You go and watch some of this shit. Kindred, perfect example. Mm-hmm. The way she was talking crazy to a fucking slave master, just considering the circumstances, that's fucking insane.
Antebellum South.
Absolutely insane. For any black person, nonetheless, a woman who is black during, in that kind of era, talking crazy, these women's egos have been, and it's to their detriment in reality, but their egos have been inflated. Mm-hmm. Their realities, the reality that they live in is delusional. That video that we seen yesterday, man, it was a Russian chick ran up on some dude. I guess they were like in a bar or whatever it was, and she ran up on the dude and slapped him and was like, yeah, nigga, you know what I'm saying? Had that look on her face and his reflexes, you know what I'm saying? He slapped the dog shit out of her. She went flying back up under the bar. Mm-hmm. And she sat there and contemplated her life. She didn't have the look on her face that she had when she walked up on him, like there was no reality. There's no timeline that exists where he'll do something about me doing what the fuck I want to do to him. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where there's all of these, the Me Too movements, sexual, what the fuck do they call it? Sexual allegations and abuse and all of these different things are such a problem. The reality of those things, or the focal point of those things, is always that men cannot do what they want to do to us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, you have women going and thinking that they can go and do what they want to do to men without repercussion. And I think deep down, a lot of women know that that's not the actual reality. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the moment that it seems like a man's not going to lay down to the delusional game that they're playing, then they go and run to
The police.
Run to the police.
Which is bad,
Run to the
especially
authorities.
for black men in particular.
Absolutely.
Because, we always know that something can go down, especially with them thinking, well, we gotta go to Gervonta's house. He's a boxer, he gotta watch out for him, So they're going in with that already. Domestic violence situations, police are already amped. They go in understanding because they know that at any time the whole family can jump on you. So that's their whole idea. They go in amped. The worst call you can get called to is a domestic violence situation. And so for a woman to put the father of her baby, of her child, in the line of fire like that, I don't think she understands what it is to be a real mother.
No, she doesn't, because she's not focused on being a mother. She's focused on him having more than she has, and for whatever reason, they seem to be co-parenting. Their households are split, and that's because she was more than likely never intended to be a mother in the first place. If she was a mother, if she was focused on parenthood in general, she would have never jeopardized that child's father's freedom ever. Especially where it seems out of her own mouth that he's actually a good father. She would have never jeopardized his freedom if she was focused on parenthood. If she cared about if she prioritized the child's well-being and livelihood, for that matter. Because the way this is speculation, but looking at her, she looks like an IG chick or whatever. I doubt that she's some biochemist or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So she jeopardizing the child's livelihood.
She got the bag.
And the child's stability.
Yeah, she got the
overall.
bag. I mean, I get it. A lot of these brothers, they get money and they want,
good-looking women.
Scheherazade. They want Scheherazade, man. They want Delilah. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be mindful. If you want Scheherazade and you want Delilah, you're gonna have Delilah and Scheherazade issues.
Absolutely.
And I think the same thing for the women. Like a lot of you women out there, you getting with these sport players, or you were looking to catch the bag, and guess what? You get what you want. But at the same time, you got this other thing coming with you too.
Comes with a price.
Yeah,
nothing in life comes without a price.
No, not at all. And so we have a very serious issue. And guys, if you're watching and you got something to say, please join in with us with the conversation, because we don't.
Whether you agree or disagree.
Yeah, whichever or if you're going through that situation yourself. Are you?
Share your testimony.
How many of you out there are co-parenting? How many out there are considering having children? How many out there don't want children because of the fear of what could happen?
Yeah.
I'm very vocal about the desire to not have children. Was it always like that? No, it wasn't always like that. I just got to a point of seeing the world being what it is, and I think once you know who you are, then you can make a more value decision in regards to which route you go, because you have to know that it is a serious job, man. You are a parent forever. Once you get that title, you are a parent forever. When people lose their babies because of like SIDS, or if they lose their child in childbirth, that child still gets a name, and some people even get burial plots and tombstones for those children. In conversation, I've heard mothers say, "Well, I have 4, but I actually had 6," and then they have names of the other 2 that didn't make it. I lost 2, and it's just always like wild to see people, like the real moms, when they talk about their children, they'll talk about the ones they lost. Yeah. And then they said,
and
so
it hurts them.
Yeah, it hurts them, because I think there is a correlation between real mothers and the job of being a mother. You know what I mean? Like my mom she loves being a mother. Like she raised all her brothers and sisters, then she raised her 5 boys, and she'll always say, "I'm a mother." Like that's the one thing she claims. That's why I'm a mother. I'm a,
You know what I'm
like she claims that, and I think, I mean, she's got a college degree and all this stuff, but she claims being a mother.
I've never even heard her talk about her degree.
Oh, yeah. Human services, man. And child and human services, psychology and all that stuff. Thank you. But, in that respect, man, she like being a mother, you know what I mean? Like that means a lot to her. And some of the other mothers that I've met who are great mothers. In your thought, what do you think makes a great mother? Or if your viewpoint of what you would think
the actual selfless, just to be selfless.
Mm-hmm.
When you know that it has nothing to do with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about you matters anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's for any parent.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with motherhood or fatherhood, parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
You've decided. Number one, it was an actual choice to make a child.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you didn't necessarily have a plan, but you knew that you were going to be there, that you were going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
No question. It doesn't seem that many parents are of that mindset these days.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly have no idea why these people are having kids.
Yeah.
But it's to be selfless.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know that it's not about you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get free time. You don't get me time. All of this silly shit that people claim in these stupid fucking magazines and talk shows that is important as a parent and all of that bullshit. No, nigga, you decided to have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that kid needs. And that doesn't necessarily mean spoiling the kid.
Right.
But you're rearing you're rearing this child.
Yeah.
You're guiding them. You're leading them. You have to give them that.
Mm-hmm.
There is no room for you to have whatever freedoms you think you're afforded, because you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't honest. Lady Muse said, birth scares me. However, I had a mom that wanted to be a mom, so I can easily really appreciate that quality in a parent. She sacrificed a lot for me. Yeah, and I don't think people really realize that until they leave home or till they get older and they get bills themselves.
Nigga, you pay that first bill. You know what I'm saying? I bet you don't want to be a grown up no more.
Yeah, I think when you get older, we all have that moment where we have that
you start
realization.
Comparing homework to actual fucking job, waking up at 6 a.m. and shit. It's a huge difference, man. We take a lot of these things for granted.
There was someone that had wrote when I had posted on Facebook about the show coming up tonight. That her saying, her not verbatim what she said, but she said there's no blueprint. Like there's no
of course not.
There's no, direct way to be a parent. And that's true. That's not what we're saying. We're not getting on here accusing people of being bad parents because they're not following the blueprint. What we're saying is that, a lot of people who are parents, a lot of them shouldn't be parents in reality. In reality, they shouldn't have had children. They should have been more responsible in contraceptives. And
not even in contraceptive, nigga, decision making in general.
Yeah, because listen, I think a lot of times what people skip over in dating is that possibility. I think in the first date, just like, look, if you and I, we get together and we have a baby, like, what's that going to be like? Yeah.
Humans treat it trivially, man.
Yeah.
And then I think, too, a part of that is women typically are confused, and we already had a show on this, but women are typically confused at the difference between lust and love. They think that because a man will bed them,
that he loves them,
that he's also willing to take care of them, so they're not worried about, because he paid for the corn dogs at the fair, that must mean that he'll also take care of the kid if we happen to have one.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any fucking sense. It's terrible logic.
Yeah.
And that also comes from, I hate to say it, but that comes from not having a good mother and father structure over you. Love was lost somewhere in your upbringing for you to believe something like that.
But I think a lot of people too, when they're dating, they live in a sense of whimsy. You know, a lot of guys will come down to a woman's level of whimsical thought process and whimsical actions, and okay, yes.
That's where hormones and shit come into
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
Why.
and holidays, because you know when you have a
That too.
holiday, you have to get caught up in the rapture of the holiday.
You gotta buy a hat and you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, Valentine's, man. I was in one of the stores the day after Christmas, man. They had them I think it was the dollar store. They had that Valentine's section up and running. Day after Christmas. I was like,
'Cause they already know, nigga. It's coming. They know it's coming.
So those flights of fancy and those places of whimsy does not take the place of being a responsible father or mother.
No, it does not.
You have to already kind of have an idea before you even date. I think before you even start dating, that should be something that comes up in conversation. You know, I think people are just so happy to have somebody, they're not even thinking about, okay, well, what do you want? Well, what are you willing to give in a relationship?
Right.
How long should we be together before we even consider having kids? Because a lot of times you hear the arguments, people go, well, that was before, but things change, and I feel different about things, and you know, this is how I feel now, and you know, you have these conversations, you catch people talking. And even with some of my friends, they'd be like, well, she wants a kid. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought she said she didn't want kids. But that was before. Now all her friends are having kids, and now she just feel like she wants a kid.
Because it's actually, that's a primal instinct.
Mm-hmm.
It's empathy, too, you know. It makes sense for her to begin to feel that way. However, someone was supposed to lead her and guide her and say, if this is what you're going to do, these are the qualities you need to stand by.
Mm-hmm.
No fucking give. These are mandatory.
Yeah, I always tell people, you know, because a lot of parents think, well, if they got kids on the way, they go, well, I was a dog owner for 5 years. Like, it's not the same thing, bro.
Nowhere near the same.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't teach a dog how to read.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? You can't teach a dog how to wipe its own ass and all of that kind of shit, man.
Right. The dog learns how to walk on its own. You know what I mean? It does, it learns to do a lot of things on its own. Children need that guidance. They need to know that there's someone there that's going to pick them up when they fall. Mm-hmm. It's just really funny to see people think that they can take the steps before having children to understand what it is to be a parent. And there's no book. I mean, you can read books.
Nothing can really prepare you.
You know.
Other than a good family structure and example.
Absolutely.
You need some sort of example that you can reference. You need a reference point.
Mm-hmm. And children are not things that you could just pawn off or pass off. You know, it's easy
nowadays,
for people. Well, it shouldn't be, but it's easy.
They throwing them off on tablets and iPhones and all kind of shit. You know.
Mm-hmm. Dropping them off at Granny house. I saw that one video on World Star where the grandmama was like, I'm not watching nobody kids.
She don't have to. She already parented before.
That's what she said.
It's nice, you know, to have a good
if a
family
grandmother
structure.
wants that. You know, there are some grandmothers that they adore. Like I have a friend, she's literally the matron of the family. That's her thing, man. She is Dominican, and it's all about family. It is all about family, and her son just had a baby, and boy, she was like, you need to bring this baby to New York. So they had to get on the plane because she didn't want to wait for them to bring the baby now. I don't care how you get here.
Figure it out.
You know, and you know, so that's how it is sometimes. You have some grandmothers who they enjoy the life of being a grandparent. Someone like my mom, no. She's not taking care of nobody's babies.
I mean, but that's because she raised her brothers and sisters, and she raised her own kids.
She's good now.
You know, I understand that.
She's good.
Know, she can give the family love without submitting to having to give more of her personal time. You know, I understand I can understand her for not wanting to. Absolutely.
Yeah, and back to what I was saying about myself personally, it's the world. I always say that you can be the best parent in the world, but how do you can't protect your child from the world. It's so daunting nowadays. You know, so many things, so many different directions is coming at them, fiery darts.
Yeah, but you have a much higher success rate when you take the time to actually instill good qualities in your children. You know, be repetitive in the lessons and the principles and the morals that you provide them with. You know, it's a trope on television for you know, actors who are playing sons or daughters, you know, in their adulthood, to look back and reflect and say, you know, Mama used to say or Daddy used to say. But there's a reality to that too, man. I hear it in my head almost every single day. Got to be more careful, pay more attention. That's my dad all the fucking time. Your name is going on this. Make it mean something. You know, I hear that shit all the time, man, and many other lessons that I hear as I'm navigating through this fucking life as an adult.
Yeah, this
you know
thing called life.
But it shows all the time, and I don't really realize how valuable those things are until I'm in working environments with other people and contributing to whatever effort. And hearing, damn, man, I don't meet a lot of people who have that quality that are willing to go the extra distance, you know, extra step to make sure that something is XYZ, man. I've been hearing that since I left home. And I didn't realize as a kid how fucking valuable that was. You know?
Yeah, I agree that there are definitely things instilled, but then there are things that need to be taken away as well. Because, you know, when you get out into the world, you're dealing with different people. You know, the family dynamic is great for the family because it also works in some form of toxicity at times. But when you get out where there's different people and different things in the world and different thoughts and different ways of how people interact, there are things that you have to kind of like, okay, yeah, that's not going to work in the world. It got me this far. You know what I mean? It got me this far. And that's the part that I have an issue with, because it's like you can't, you know, once your child gets to a certain age, it's great. You know, newborns are great. They need the attention. They need to be picked up, burped, belched, you know, diapers changed. You know, they need the constant attention. Once your child gets into being, you know, in school, well, now you're dealing with a different. It's
time. It's time for them to put into practice.
I don't even know how that happened because it's on sleep.
Yeah, you know, at that point, it's time for them to put into practice the things that you've been instilling in them, and you know, in their formative years. You know, I never had questions of what was right or what was wrong when I was in preschool, and teachers and students, or, you know, it's some little nasty ass kids out there. There's some badass kids out there, some mean kids out there, and I came across a lot of that where I grew up. And it was never a question to me to go, nigga, you know, hell no, I ain't going back there with you, and you know, none of that kind of shit.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that that's more on the personality of that child than just also?
My parents didn't have that. Hold on, listen to me.
Okay, listen. All right, I'm listening.
Because I had my mom and my dad. Yeah. That's why I'm sharing this. You know, now I ain't saying that they didn't have their ups and downs. I ain't saying that they was perfect, but they not beat it literally, but beat it into our heads. All it takes is a moment. One bad decision. It's easy as hell to get in trouble, hard as hell to get out. That's one of my dad's number one things. You know, my sisters would come to me first. When we were all in school together. You know, these niggas are saying, do you know? Is this? Hell no, it ain't. Let's go. Let's walk home. Or nigga, let's go. You know, we ain't gonna tell on nobody because you know, whatever. Because that's the hood that we grew up in and shit. But
don't be a snitch.
You know, we like, nigga, nah, y'all enjoy that, nigga. We headed home. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? We were always like that. That didn't come out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't just born that way.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mom constantly. Hey, anybody ever comes at you like this about your private parts, about whatever. Anybody ever comes at you about, like I told you, the thing about my mom used to tell me all the time, these bitch ass niggas trying to get you to come watch porn with them or read some porn magazines, whatever. She said, when you at the age that you ready for that kind of shit, talk to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go off with none of these weird ass niggas and be trying to watch no tapes and all of that shit. Cause these bitch ass niggas is gay.
Mm-hmm.
That's how my mom talks. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, nigga, you don't have to subject yourself to nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were pretty raw.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of different areas, they were raw.
Mm-hmm.
Not every area. Maybe areas that they should have been, but you know, they provided us with those things.
Mm-hmm.
There was never too much room for us to question, well, how would this go?
Mm-hmm.
We almost always had a reference point. And that's the value of having both parents. That's the value of having parents who are present and willing to say, hey, you know, this is...
Hey, Stevie.
You know, you at this age, you know, some of these things are coming.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was one of those people, man. Maybe he was always going through a midlife crisis or something, whatever it was, but he always kept up with whatever it was that's hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go explore it and say, okay, this is how, you know, let my mom know this is what these niggas is on right now. Let's make sure, you know, let's come up with some sort of game plan to make sure that our little niggas don't get caught up.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't saying that there's a perfect way to do it, but there's a much higher success rate when both parents are actively on the fucking ball.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree. That's the number one issue with the black community, the fact that people feel like co-parenting is, you know, well, I'm over here in Texas.
Like it's going to be effective.
Yeah, like, yeah, we can do it. No.
Their reference point is always somebody like LeBron James or some stupid shit like that. That's a one in a fucking million.
Again, those people have money.
Well, I'm saying as far as how he was raised. Saying that, oh, his mom, you know, they did it.
Yeah,
he's a millionaire and shit now. His mom got him into basketball.
And LeBron was chosen and groomed. So you know, a lot of times people don't realize he wasn't going to fail.
Right in high school.
Yeah, certain people and people need to wake up to this. It's very important. What's going on, man? How you doing, Christopher? Certain people in the entertainment industry are chosen and picked at a very early age, and they're groomed. And that's just the way it is. It's they're not going to fail. Whether you need to psychoanalyze them to where they function and their programming doesn't break down, or they pump them so full of pharmaceutical drugs, mental therapy drugs and stuff like that to where they're able to function. But a lot of people are groomed. So to me, when people take celebrities as an example of how to be great parents, that's the worst example in my opinion, because I've lived my life in the celebrity sphere. I know what that's all about.
Well, again, the reason why they're saying that is because they're like, well, these niggas got money.
Mm-hmm.
They got it figured out. Mm-hmm. They're successful. They're on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, their lives are good and they're raising their kids well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reference point that they've created in their head. Makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what people are doing when they're off camera.
Mm-hmm.
These niggas don't know what me and you is doing.
Right.
We ain't up in here talking this shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, there are no good men. And that means humans in general.
Right. That's right.
Humans in general. Mm-hmm. You know, I got my faults. Mm-hmm. I'm a piece of shit in a lot of ways too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? I'm growing.
Mm-hmm.
We're always growing.
Yeah, I always like to use what Bruce Lee said in one of his interviews. He said, you know, he says, I have a horrible temper, but he said, but I am working on it constantly. Like he recognized that about himself. That to me is what makes somebody great, when you
That's
recognize.
What makes a difference.
Yeah, when you recognize first off the greatness in others, but then you also recognize that you are working towards something.
Actively.
The reason why I kind of like snapped back a little bit was because I appreciate
Melvin
when people are great parents. Hey, Melvin.
Nigga.
And I appreciate, like, I know if I had children, I'd be a great father. But I also know, too, and this is...
That you would be a great danger to society.
because of
I might
parenthood,
really have to fuck one of y'all up.
Yeah, because I love so hard, and I know that about myself, and I have a superhero complex.
Right.
The other thing is when do you believe in something like a bad seed? Like I've personally visualized it myself. That's why I'm saying
I think that's bullshit because. And there, people believe in evil and all of that. I don't believe in none of that bullshit. People do what the fuck they want to do. That's number one. Number two, all of it comes from somewhere. The things that makes me a piece of shit today are not things that I was just born with.
Right.
It was shit that I experienced. Absolutely shit that I experienced, shit that I was exposed to. And then I had more, and because I was exposed to it consistently, that gave me room to really interpret it. So, okay, well, shit, if this is what I'm dealing with on a regular basis, how do I make this work for me? Now it's really becoming a problem. It's not just because I've seen it once. I was like, oh, interesting. You know? All of that shit comes from somewhere. It doesn't just come out of thin air. Because there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect scenario. Even when you're giving somebody everything. What else in their life are they being exposed to? What else in their life are they seeing? What else in their life are they experiencing? I don't think none of this shit just falls out of thin air because there's nothing new under the sun.
But then do you exclude personality? Because personality is not something.
Personality is developed. You're not born with it.
We're totally on two different pages now.
We're gonna have to be.
Everybody is born with a personality. That's what makes us all different. I mean, yeah,
we're not all different. You know, humans are way more alike than they like to believe.
We are in some sense, but personality.
Let me tell you something. Psychology wouldn't hold any weight if everybody was so different.
Personality is something that can be seen even in a child of 4 months old. 4 months old.
But what are they being exposed to? What are they seeing?
Listen, I'll give you a prime example. My friend had a son where he would give eye contact, couldn't talk, but he would give eye contact in such a way where you would say, where's that coming from? Or what is that? Like his eye, like as a toddler, it's kind of like, how do you explain an idiot savant playing a piano? You can't explain that.
But that's also a defect.
How is that a defect? If he's playing,
no, I'm saying birth defects. How else would he be an idiot savant?
Because some things can't be explained. That's what I'm saying.
But birth defects are birth defects.
Right, but if a birth defect is so is a birth defect something that hinders the person or helps the person? Because that's what we gotta look at.
That's the point. There is no actual way of defining that.
Right.
But we know that it is a birth defect. This person is not just up walking around operating like a normal human being, so to speak, and the what normal is how most of us come out. Okay, generalizations exist for a reason. So if those are general, there's a reason why this motherfucker is just how he is. Sure, he figured out he gravitated towards the fucking piano. Somebody put him on the piano. Whatever that was in his brain, it's just a fucking defect. That doesn't explain, and those are very few, far in between. So it's almost not worth mentioning.
Well, not really. I mean, idiot savants, they're more on this planet than what people realize. But my point in what I'm saying is that we may look at that as a defect, but that is part of his personality. That is part of what makes him who he or she is. If they're able to do that, if we sat and worked 1,000 hours to play Rachmaninoff or to play a piece of Mozart, and we're not even coming close to an idiot savant who hear one time and play. One time. I'm not talking about they heard it over and over and over again. They heard it one time, and then they got at the piano and played it note per note. There's something about that. There's something that it's science. I think.
But you understand that that's a phenomenon.
Let me finish. I think. Well, then we get into something totally different. Then, but
that's my point. So if it's a phenomenon, what's the point of talking about it when we're talking about generally?
Because I'm talking about personality, and phenomenon goes along with personality. Like you can't. A lot of times when people are able to do these things that we consider miraculous or phenomenal, that's part of their personality. Like what made Bruce Lee who he was? What made Prince who he was, or Michael Jackson
Their
who he
upbringing.
was?
What made Adolf Hitler what he was?
Well, no, that's not true because Michael had the same upbringing that his brothers and sisters had, but he was special.
Not really.
Michael was highly special.
In reference to his brothers and sisters, it was just the way that they all received it.
No,
There was no way for their parents. How many of them was it? The kids?
9, if I'm correct.
9.
Yeah.
If it's 9, there was no way possible, logically possible, for those 2 parents to ensure that all 9 of their kids got the exact same amount of attention.
No, of course not.
And
I
the
agree.
exact same amount of way,
Yeah.
the exact same kind of discipline.
Right.
All the way through. There's
No,
absolutely no way possible.
I agree. One will be left out the shuffle, which is why you look at a lot of big families. You always say we got one jailbird in the family.
So you can't say that that makes him special.
For Michael, it was, but
He may have, because again, we weren't sitting there in the room, in any of those rooms. We don't know. We were not sitting there.
Well, even his brothers and family, his
receiving.
family said that he was special.
Of course they
said
did.
it.
He made the most money.
Well, it had nothing to do with money. It just
He
had,
got the most
it-
attention.
It was just an obvious thing that he was more connected to that thing. As some of us as creatives are more connected, like I told you about when it comes to being a creative. I can't remember the name of the phrase of it now because I'm thinking of 5 other things. But being a creative, when that gate is open, the gate stays open for some of us. For you, for me, for Prince, for Michael. I wouldn't put somebody like Madonna in that or even Janet in that because that's not who they are. You see what I'm saying? Like their personality makes them to where, okay, they're able to do what they saw others do, but that's not who they are.
It's not even about it not being who they are. That's just not the only thing that they're interested in.
Yeah, it's fine, but they're not in that space. I think when I say personality, I'm talking about there's another thing. There's this thing that a lot of people don't get. And that's just something, when you talk about having a spirit or a soul, you're born with specific things. Yeah, you mentioned Adolf Hitler. He was a genius in what he was able to do because he had a gift. There was a gift of him being able to communicate with people and speak with people a certain
But that
way.
came from something.
He didn't learn it from anybody. It was
that
just something
nigga
he
had
had
a
inside
terrible
of him.
fucking childhood.
He did, but he also had something inside of him that gave him the edge to be able to do something that others cannot do, or else everybody would be able to do it.
I don't think that he was gonna be that way without the catalyst of his childhood.
I think he was going to be that way because it was predetermined to be. So that's where we have a different understanding. Because I believe in predeterminism. I believe that everything is happening because it's supposed to happen for a reason. There are no accidents. And so with Hitler, he was part of history because he was meant to be part of history.
If there are no accidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, if everything is predetermined,
Mm-hmm.
there's no room for any of us to be sad. Or at least for someone who believes what you just stated.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for you to ever be sad. There's no room for you to ever question reality.
Well,
Right?
you're going to because you're human.
But
That's the
no,
gift
but I'm
of being a
saying,
human.
if that's something that you're standing by,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You stand on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's no room for you to ever be sad.
But that's part of me being a human. I'm going to be sad.
But
'Cause
then
I'm a flawed
But
creature.
then that
I'm
means that
flawed.
you don't believe that.
No, I do believe it. But that's part of what faith and hope is. Because that's the difference. And if you don't believe in faith
say
or
about
hope,
this
right,
shit?
yeah. If you don't believe in faith or hope, right? So listen, I can be sad if I ain't doing what I need to do in order to be happy. That's part of life. That's part of that.
But if everything is predetermined, then you don't have to do shit. You just have to wait for it to show up.
But it's not going to be what I want it to be no matter what.
That's my point.
So the thing is I got to keep working in order to get what I need out of the situation. But that doesn't
what
mean
you need is irrelevant if you truly believe that all of it is predetermined. That means it don't matter what I do.
what I need is temporal. That's why they call things temporal. When you have stuff that's temporal, you got to
But that is you diluting what it is that you just said that you stand by.
No, it's not.
That is diluting.
No, it's not because it's not my plan. It's God's plan.
That's my point. So if there is a plan, that means that there's nothing that you have to do other than be there.
No, I got to still show up. I have to still do my part.
That's diluted.
No, it's not.
That's
It's
absolutely
very
diluted.
relevant. If you and I, we talking about being here, we got a plan. We still got to show up.
We don't believe the same thing. I know that I got to show up. Mm-hmm. I know that there's no hope. I think hope is for losers. I always say that. I stand by that for the rest of my life.
That's fine.
There's no room for hope if no one else is going to do this for me. I know that.
Right, but for me,
But that's what I stand by.
For me, it goes back to what I've always said. Faith without works is dead. And that's something that I believe. So if hope is a brother to faith. Faith is believing in something without seeing, which most people cannot
Is
do.
that not a contradiction?
No, not at all.
If it's all predetermined and that's what you believe in, but then you also say, but believing in that without work means that it's never going to happen.
But
Then how is it predetermined?
But you're not saying it's never going to happen.
So, but then that means you don't have to work. You don't have to do anything.
No. We're not saying that it's never going to happen. We're saying it's going to happen on the time that it's supposed to happen. It's just not your time.
Then that means you don't have to do any work.
That's not true. Because then I would be telling all my actors that. And all the actors who have become successful, who are A-list, they had to put the work in.
That's my point. You're saying that it's contradictory.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because part of their plan was it was going to happen anyway. And it did happen. But they had to keep doing the work.
Their plan. Exactly.
Their plan. But there's a greater plan. But there's a greater plan. And if your plan is not in that, but that's a thing of belief in a higher power. If your plan does not fit with that plan, it's not going to happen no matter what. Doesn't mean you can't go forward. Put it this way. Bruce Lee worked to be the best that he could be. The best that he could be. He died before he got to the best of what he wanted it to be, but it left a precursor for us to look at what it was to be the best.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying by any time you're looking at, okay, if there's work to do the work. That doesn't mean it's going to end up being what you want it to be. But you keep working until you get to that place. You may die before you get there. But you enjoy the journey. The journey is meeting people. The journey is gaining certain things. Maybe it's riches, or maybe it's a little bit of peace, because I don't believe in happiness. I believe happiness is fleeting. That means it's momentary. But I believe that as a parent, and let's go back to...
Yeah, I was going to say,
as a parent,
changing it off.
I just, I've seen it. I've seen people have children that no matter what they did, that kid was just bad. And it was just like, man, like, what do you do? How do you deal with it? Oh, they lighting up over here. What's going on, Marvin?
I ain't getting no comment. Niggas ain't fucking with me.
I think parents want to be friends with the kids and have no fear of really anyone. Growing up, we were not allowed to say "shut up" around my grandparents, and if we did, that was you get popped in the mouth. Yep. And if we did, we would get slapped right in the mouth. Yep, I still.
Melvin said, "Beat them." Goddamn right.
Melvin sounds like Harpo.
Listen, I got my ass whooped.
Me too, and we'll talk about that in a second. I still think it's just a little if I say shut up, but I learned to watch my mouth from the jump. And you know what? That may change.
You learn to choose your battles.
Yeah, and that may change too, because what happens is when you get out in the world, how you were raised, sometimes your parents will not recognize that. Once you come back, they recognize the greatness in you if you've been the type of person to incorporate great things in your life, but most of the time they see the things they don't like. We talked about that in the show. Yeah. Beating. So, which is nowadays...
Discipline. We're calling it discipline. They call it beating.
Whoop ass, as Eric calls it. Yeah. Whoop ass. Corporal punishment, as they used to call it. You know, there was a time, if you guys are listening and you remember this, hey, what's going on, cuz? If there was a time when in school they could whoop your ass.
I was one of the last generations.
Oh yeah,
where we were getting taken into that room next to the principal's
in
office.
Cali.
Yep, and getting fucked up.
Wow.
Longfellow Elementary, Oakland, California, getting our asses whooped.
Was it paddle or was it switch?
Paddles.
Paddles.
Yep. Wow. Me and Olivia.
That's wild.
Our sisters didn't make it into that. We're all 2 years apart, but anyway, The difference between discipline and just beating a kid for no, not for no reason, but without efficiency, right? Discipline implies that there's some sort of efficacy to it, which is my dad, for example. Oh, you ain't been doing your chores. I'll keep it simple. You ain't been doing your chores. Your grades been bad. Give me that PlayStation. Not only is it give me that PlayStation, oh, you still not. But you told me that you were getting. You told me that you were doing better and you were getting good grades. But I just got your report card.
Go stand there and lie to me.
So
in
not
my
only,
face.
nigga, have you been slacking off, but you lied to me, right? So now I got to beat your ass. But I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna sit down and have a talk with you again afterwards and explain to you why this happened.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna get your report card.
Yeah.
And then chase you through the house, beat you down, and tell you to go take a shower and go to bed. And we never talked about it. Discipline is the breakdown and then build up.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what discipline is. So I gotta beat your ass, or I have to give you some sort of equal reaction to your action, and then tell you about it. And talk to you until you understand
Point it out.
3 and 4 and 5 hour lectures with my mom and dad, man. Was never allowed to even sit down while they were talking. Stand your ass up. You had all this energy to go and do everything that you weren't supposed to do, so you got the energy to stand here while I talk to you. And you gonna get this every fucking time. I used to dread the lecture more than I dreaded the ass whooping, because I'd be standing there 4, 5, 6 hours, man, every fucking time. And I think that's why now, as an adult, as we were talking about with karate, no, sensei, I don't need you to punch me in the face. I get it. I get it. I understand that punch works. So what's the next step? You know. But that came from hours of having to stand and listen, and that's why I have a good attention span, and I can read a fucking book. You know, I can take the time to understand something, you know, however long it takes. I don't just back down. I believe that came from that, honestly.
Were they big on making you look them in the eyes when they were speaking to you?
All of that. I had no fucking choice, man. That, or, you know, I don't know, maybe another ass whooping or something, and, you know, obviously you don't want that either. But their willingness to correct me is what the actual discipline was.
Yeah, of course.
I have to give you, I have to show you that something will come from you not doing what it is that you need to do. Not even always what you're supposed to do, but something that you need to do. You need to maintain your reputation. You have to maintain your name. That's all you got. And when you don't have nothing else in the world, that's all you got left.
Yeah, so they showed you the importance of that.
And that's what my dad my dad made sure I understood that as a young man. You know, and it took me places.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Moten said, "There's no such thing as a perfect parent, and it's not something you will ever be adequately prepared for. Your best bet is to be totally responsible for yourself and your actions. Once you can be responsible for yourself, you'll be better prepared to be a responsible parent. It's a continuous learning and teaching process, a lifetime commitment." Absolutely, Joan. Said from a mother herself, she's got some sons of her own, and she's a mom to a lot of other people. We call her Mama Joan. So yeah, you're right, and I think we're in trouble as a community and as the human race, that nowadays parents who are strong in their children's lives can't discipline the way they would like to.
Well, that's depending on what the children are exposed to.
Well, no. Talking about the world stopping them.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do their children, or do they got their kids on the internet watching all of these kids act like they're adults and all of this kind of shit? All of that kind of shit is important. And then real quick, let me see. I can. It says beating your young furthers the systemic agenda of the white man that it's okay to beat us. Discipline with consequences goes much further. Now, if they're out of pocket and smelling themselves, by all means, but a young adolescent child should not be struck. She says, my mama beat us so severely it was not the most prudent approach. And then the lecture and hold the phone books while you listen had your arms burning.
I know that one. Listen,
everyone in the world has always had some form of physical discipline for their children. That's not what the fuck is the word?
Taboo?
Nah, it's not unique to the black community.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the problem. If you never teach your child what it is to have the threat of physical harm, which is why it's important to at least put them. If you don't want to go that far where you cause physical
harm to the child.
Yeah, put them in martial arts so they can learn. Because a lot of these kids, if you don't teach that, I've seen them become bullies in a way because they don't understand.
That also makes them think they're invincible.
Well, and they don't understand what it is to hurt someone because they've never inflicted pain or they've never felt pain. It's different in sports. Sports is because what they're doing, the physical. If they're playing football or tackling or wrestling, they're doing it to gain something.
They're developing discernment.
Right. When you're talking about as a child not knowing what it is to have physical harm because of something negative that they've done, that's very important, which is in martial arts, at least they'll learn you don't keep your guard up, you get hit. You know that doesn't feel good.
Right.
You see? Or if you say the wrong thing to somebody and somebody want to crack you, they need to learn that. And for people, I'm not saying beat your children. I'm just saying because you may have a child, like I'm saying, it's like I have friends where they go, man, I can talk until I'm blue in the face with this one here, I'll say this, and they'll go and they'll do it. And that's what I meant about the personalities because I've seen people, can it be that parents have a different agenda towards each child? Absolutely. I've seen that as well. Like maybe the father sometimes see a little bit more of himself in this boy than that boy. So he feels automatically, I got to be harder on him. And that's not fair to the child. But that does inflict something to that person.
Of course.
They have a animosity.
It alters their development.
Absolutely. But to see that, it's one of those things where it's like, no, we don't believe in beating our child. It may come that day you end up a haul off a slapping and then now they're in their teens and it's a problem because you've been so loose on them for too long. That happens. I'm glad my mom whooped my ass. I tell her to this day, Mom, thank you for whooping my ass. Because I look at how bad some of these kids are. Even the parents that claim that they are there for their children. And, I've been going to every PTA meeting. I've been there. I've talked to them time and time again. I've taken away their PlayStation and their phone and all of that.
And they're still having the same problem because ain't nobody slapped the shit out of that kid.
That's what's needed sometimes.
This is the thing. And I always love this analogy.
Say it.
I always love this analogy. If your kid wants to play with fire, let them. After you tell them the first time, hey man, that shit, it's hot. You're not gonna like it. Please don't put your hand in the fire. Don't go running trying to put your hand in the fireplace. I was one of those asshole kids, and I definitely went and tried to get into the fireplace, and that mother, even just touching the glass was hot. God damn. But they told me. Let this motherfucker go burn their hand. However, the fear as a parent is
they don't want their child to feel any pain.
What about the real world? What about this child developing the habit of I told them, and they still had to go do it to see that it was a reality. Hey, don't steal. And then you go to a department store and you steal. Now you're in handcuffs. I told you what was going to happen when you stole. How do you instill that without some sort of physical reality?
Yeah,
because loss of freedom
yeah,
is much worse
yeah,
than any spanking, ass whooping ever could have been.
yeah, because it jeopardizes their future really bad. It jeopardizes anything else they may have.
Absolutely.
You know, Sage said, "Shit, I had to go out back and pick the switch off the
You know what I'm
tree
saying?
myself." He said, "I wasn't abused, but almost every beating I got, I earned it."
Yeah, I earned a majority of my ass whoopings. I would agree with that. And to the switch thing, my nana, you know, rest in peace to her. Her thing was 3 switches, and she would braid them. She called it a 3-way.
Ooh,
That's when you was really fucking up. You can get a regular switch ass, you know, hey motherfucker, pop, pop, pop. But when you really fucking up and you think she playing, you know, you taking Nana's grace for granted.
She went to some
Nigga,
Jesus stuff.
now you get the 3-way, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That
eyes.
nigga, that 3-way wasn't no joke. I don't know if anybody else experienced that or if they called it something else, but Nana get. You keep fucking with Nana, nigga.
Called the cat eyes.
She gonna pick 3
9
of them and
tails.
braid them, boy.
The 9 tails.
That wasn't no joke.
Yeah, Sage said, my mother was good to say, I'm going to give you just enough rope to hang yourself with. Yeah. And I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. That was my mama's phrase as well. I brought you in this world, I'll take you out. You can't say that nowadays. You'd be caught up, what is it called? For terroristic threats.
Is it?
Yeah. You say that to a child nowadays, terroristic threats. So you have to be careful on how you, but hey, Daph, how you doing? You have to, there has to be some kind of strong communication. Why are you sitting there talking about what the wedding dress is going to be like, when the wedding date's going to be, what the ring's going to be, who's going to be there at the wedding, where y'all going to have it, what state? What do we do if we have kids? When do we want to have kids? Really, be honest with yourself, not a thing of, well, yeah, we talked about it, and all of a sudden we decided, down the road. I always say, and I mentioned this in the previous show, you should be single in a marriage. You should have a single dating life in a marriage. You should have a single mindset. Single people can get up and go and do whatever the hell they want to do when they want to do.
Have that
You should. You should.
Why?
Because when you're single, you don't have children. Not so much just being married, you just don't have children. And so you have the responsibility for yourself in a marriage or in a relationship. You don't have the responsibility for you, your spouse, and your child, which is even more. Single people can get up and go on vacations and stay and, prolong it and, do what they want to do, unless they have pets. Obviously, a lot of people think their pets are kids. But even then, it's not like it's a child. It's not your seed. Pet's not your seed. When you have that mindset, if you're in a relationship, then you have a single mindset. You can do the things that single people do. It's just that to me just makes a lot more sense because it's a thing of saying, well, we want to go to the club. Let's go to the club, babe. All right, y'all go to the club. You ain't got to worry about who's going to babysit the kids. But when you're married, you don't have that liberty. You don't have that freedom to do that. And that's just something that I had been saying. That Daphne, you don't. You don't want no damn kids. I just think that people want what they want when they want it, but they don't realize what they need when they need it. Sometimes you don't need to have certain things just because everybody else have. Yeah. Your life drastically changes. And me being someone from the outside looking, I can see. And some people are amazing parents, man.
Absolutely.
That baby come, man, and you see dudes, man, they start wearing their shirts a little thicker because they're not going to the gym.
Funny.
Yeah, it's true. Them shirts get bigger. That 8-pack disappears. And it's one of those things, man, where it's like I don't think people realize that, they think, especially when you say, oh, well, they don't even talk about who's going to be the person to take care of the child the most, because
Yeah.
they can always say, well, we'll divvy out the responsibility to each other, but there's always going to be one more side in regards to someone giving more attention.
Well, it can never be absolutely even. There's no such thing.
And kids, if you don't know this, a little bit about psychology,
Kids are smart, nigga.
they go through periods where there's a point where they'll love their dad more or they'll love their mom more. And then they'll shift and they'll love their mom more and then they'll love their dad more. It happens to every child where they kind of move more towards a specific parent because of what they're going through in the world. So young boys tend to be mama's boys in the very beginning. They grow up and they love their mama. They may love their dad too, but they kind of lean more towards their moms. And then once they become a lot more athletic, they're feeling themselves, they're seeing their dads, they want to be more like their dads.
Correct.
And then once they get in their teenage life, they get a lot more tumultuous with their father, the boys.
Yes, they do.
Because the thing is that they're going through that alpha male, beta male type thing, and they're feeling themselves, and their testosterone is surging, and they're walking
But they
around.
need, and at that point, they need the fear and respect of a man.
Oh, absolutely. I remember one of my friends, I'm not going to mention his name, his son started lifting weights, So, he's genetically, he has the genetic disposition of being a solid, because his dad was solid. When I trained him for bodybuilding, he just broad shoulders. So, you got that thing where you kind of like, you're moving through something in somebody.
Right.
And he's lifting weights. And one day he just decided, man, he was just going to talk to his dad a specific way. And boy, my boy grabbed him and lift him up. And mind you, they kind of Haitian-Cuban mix. So he lift that boy up and said, boy, don't you ever. That was the only time he ever had to put his hands on his son. The only time. And so my shout out to parents, I always say this, I pray for parents, number one, but also my shout out to parents is that, if you have these three things, if by the age of 21 or even after high school, once they finish high school, they're not on drugs, they're not in prison, and they have no kids, you did a great job. That's the way I look at it. You did a great job. Now the rest of it becomes up to them.
It is up to them.
But you did a great job where you supported and provided them that they made the correct decisions. It is no, Moika 133 said, it is no way to be in a marriage and be single. Single people have no commitment. So in turn for a marriage, you decide to commit yourself to that other person. You're missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying
You're not responsible for the other person's emotions. You're not, or not even that. You're not responsible for the other person's happiness.
Right.
You can't give someone else happiness. Happiness comes from within.
Right. See, when you're dating, right? When you're dating, and I always tell this to people. I just mentioned this to someone I was talking with recently. Dating is an interview.
Absolutely.
Dating is to impress each other when you're dating.
You give that person the representative of yourself. You don't give them your full self.
Right.
Most people don't.
Right. So then when you move in, you find out other things about that person that you either don't like or you just like.
The way this motherfucker peels the crust off their toast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And right, because now you're not looking to impress anymore. You got each other. You got the bag. And so what happens is that if you have that single mindset while being married, I'm not talking about you. Like I said, I'm not talking about the commitment, because obviously if you're in a relationship, if you choose to be committed and y'all talk that y'all want monogamy, then that's understood. I'm talking about the thought process of single people, of being able to get up and go and having that freedom. That's what I'm talking about. And I know couples or married couples who are like that. They don't want no kids. So they live the thoughts of single people. They don't live like married people. Married people eventually have kids. Mm-hmm. That's usually the status of that. And so now your life has to change. And now you're thinking you're fighting all the time for time. I don't get to spend no time with you. We ain't had sex in 2 weeks. Nah. Well, you got kids. Nobody told you to have the kids.
Nothing else matters.
Nobody told you to have them kids, but you got them. And so now what are you going to do about it? So that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about single in the sense of the time and the energy that you spend with each other and the things, the activities that you do, because single people can do that. When you're married and you have kids, that's what I'm saying. That's the difference. Say said, I never had kids. The course of my life, I know I couldn't be daddy. I would at best be pop. Yeah, but you are a surrogate, and I remember meeting one of your sons, and you had an amazing relationship with him. So, because that's just the way it is. No, I don't want kids.
Funny.
Nothing's going to change my mind. I mean, I always tell people, if I get rich, and this is a word to remember, I get millions of dollars. It's got to be millions. It can't be hundreds of thousands because I got too many friends and family that I'm going to leave that money to. But millions of dollars, two nappy head twin brothers from the projects, cigarettes burnt out on them, damaged beyond compare, give them to me and change their life. Personality aside, I don't care. I'm going to change their life. I'm going to make it to where they know what love is. I'm going to raise them up like two ninjas. Two ninjas. And you're going to see them wearing suits. And they're going to be cool. I saw a video of a father and his son, man. He had his son, they were wearing a suit. I was like, that's how you raise a young black man. You know what I'm saying? So definitely looking forward to talking with Jackson because he runs that kind of stuff. So, hey, Farley, what's going on? So, yes, we are talking about parents still. So, what about the parents that do too much, that are too involved, that are overbearing and
Too giving.
You know what I mean? Or
They overcompensate for whatever it is that they felt that they didn't have, and that is indirectly or more so, really directly. Now you're giving them too much of your insecurities, of your inhibitions. You're putting a lot of those things on that child through those actions, you know, and now you get the adverse effect. Now this kid don't want to do shit. This kid becomes lazy, disrespectful, and irresponsible. All of these different things. You've seen it millions of times, man.
Yeah, and even like the violent parents that don't even realize they're violent.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
through
unconscious.
It's unconscious through their dialogue and their conversations. I've just,
Most people don't understand how powerful words are.
Yeah.
The things that you say to a child. You know, I'm not gonna say anything specifically, but you know, one of my parents had that very bad. You know, to say whatever it was that was actually on their heart, and it affected all of us differently. You know, unfortunately, it had very adverse effects on some of us. You know, you don't say crazy things to your child. You don't say things to your child as if you didn't know them. You know, that's a very dangerous way to be. Bye, Melvin. Bye. You said bye. Don't comment again. Nah, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in.
See you tomorrow, Mel. Yeah, no, probably not, huh? I just thought about it. Listen, you know, we are not coming down on people who want to be parents. I think
we're not coming down on any parent who's doing whatever it is that you're doing your best, I suppose.
Yeah,
but you can always do better.
Yeah, I'm focusing more on people who haven't had children yet because that's always such a driving thing. It's seasonal, you know. Oh, you know, so and so had a baby. We need to have a baby. I need to have a baby. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need to have a child. Maybe you need more time by yourself. Maybe you need to figure out if you can afford a child.
That's number one for me. Can you afford a child? Can you afford to give this child what they actually need? Yeah. Can you afford to nurture this child?
Or are you going to live on a system like a lot of other people have?
And even then, there's room for you to raise a child properly in that environment. Or excuse me, in that reality, but you have to be responsible. You have to be absolutely responsible. You still can't be toxic. You can't say whatever you want to a child and treat them as if they're an adult, you know, before they can even walk. All of these different things, man. It's important to teach a child responsibility. You have to teach a child how to earn. You don't just give them everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people are not even in that thought frame, like, you know, what we're seeing in the world, especially like with the Gervonta Davis situation. she doesn't realize how that affects her daughter.
Because one day her daughter is going to see headlines. One day her daughter will inevitably, at some point, you know, the media is going to reach out and want to talk to her about her dad. And they might hit her with that question. Well, did you know that your dad, you know, at so-and-so time, depending on how malicious that source of media is, no telling what they'll say to her about old headlines, you know, and maybe shit she didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Or maybe someday she'll do a report on her dad, him being the public figure that he is and will have been at some point. Maybe she's in school and she has to write a report on her dad and she's on Google. And she starts reading headlines, you know, crazy nigga attacked mom and daughter and all of this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate to do that to a child. Very irresponsible and selfish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, she gets a pass because of how modern liberalism is.
Yeah.
And feminism. She gets a pass. You know, they didn't even blast it out there. The sensation was over, and she comes out and admits that she should be held for charges. They should press charges on her. I think that needs to happen. I think more men need to step up, especially those who've experienced it, and work to get that law passed where, you know, what do you think about, because the next one I was going to talk about is, paternity tests and men finding out that the child isn't theirs after years of being a father to that child. What are your thoughts on that?
If you're going to be the father, be the father.
Mm.
Do you have to? Absolutely not. You're not required to continue anything at that point. But parenting someone is parenting someone. You know, teachers are temporary parents. All day, every day for years.
Yeah.
You know, is it unfortunate? Is it bad for you to walk away if the kid is 15, 16, 17, 18? I don't believe that there's any morality that says that you have to do that, that you have to stay. You're not obligated at all. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it's jacked up, and the problem becomes that
And
now
it should
you're
be illegal.
dealing. Well, yeah, now you're dealing with the fact that child at that specific age, even if they don't have an issue with you, may want to see their real parent, and if they are influenced by that parent, the one that wasn't there, they may want to leave and go and hang with that parent. I've seen that happen, and it's horrible to see that happen to someone who's been a provider, who's been a parent, didn't know that child wasn't even theirs, or the ones that did know, you know. And who was it recently where it was a video of a chick saying she was mad at the guy because he would not adopt the kids. He would not adopt her kids.
Was that a famous person?
No,
or just
no. It was
internet
just
motherfucker?
it was the internet. It was a video where she was kicking her husband out because he would not adopt her two kids that she had from a previous relationship.
But then that would make him responsible.
Right, and that's where he understood.
And he doesn't have.
No, he understood.
He can agree to, hey, I'm gonna make sure your kids are good. But no, I don't have to adopt them.
No, he didn't.
They don't have to have my identity.
Yeah. He didn't want to because he kind of felt that she was probably biding her time.
Perhaps,
you know.
But then too, again, you know, my stepdad didn't make me change my name. You know, I don't think honestly on paper he was ever actually my father, so to speak, other than at school and shit. You know what I'm saying? Not legally, I don't think he was. But he did what he said he was gonna do, which is be there for me. Still is to this day.
It's a form of
you
integrity.
know, it just may have been a situation of that. Let your kids have their fucking identity. I don't have to adopt them to take care of them. Take me at my word.
Yeah. Jones said, and please don't become a parent just to fill a void of
man. I can't
love
believe we
and
didn't hit on that shit.
companionship.
Can you read that
terrible.
again?
Sure. And please don't become a parent just to fill a void of love and companionship. That's a terrible burden to put on a child and yourself.
I agree.
Yes, Jones. It's horrible.
It's absolutely selfish to have a child because you don't feel loved. I've heard so many women say that. I've actually seen it in many different scripts in TV shows and movies. I had this child because I needed somebody who was gonna love me forever.
Mm-hmm.
How fucking selfish is that?
That's horrible. That's horrible.
I had a child because I needed someone who was gonna love me forever. I didn't give a fuck who it came from, what kind of person they were, what their habits were, any of that shit. A lot of these kids come out with defects and all kind of shit. But I had it because I need somebody who's gonna love me forever. Because I can't figure out how to be fucking agreeable, how to be mature enough,
to love somebody,
adult enough to love someone and be loved and have a stable relationship. Because I refused to figure that out. That's why I had a kid.
Yep.
That's the reality, by the way.
Someone that
anybody didn't catch the sarcasm.
Someone they can control the love of that person from. You know, they can infuse in them their thought process of how they should have that relationship. It's a control mechanism.
Absolutely.
You know,
we got this real messed up when a woman does that mess. Usually trapping, or she knows he will take care of business, and she picked him for her lie. You know?
That's very big, and I know some states are starting to pass the law where they want to make it
counteracting that. They want to make it a little more balanced,
and they want to make mandatory DNA tests and paternity tests. They want some states wanting to make it mandatory. There is a coalition of men that are moving to make that happen, to make that a reality.
It's unfortunate that the law has to be involved, that the system has to be involved at all, because I believe that there are things that are so intimate and sacred that they should be handled in-house.
Yeah, blame women.
You know?
Blame women because they use the law for their means. A lot of them
Absolutely.
have. And so men have to protect themselves. I mean, I'm not a red pill. I'm not a misogynist by any means. But I also know that I see that there is a discrepancy in regards to fairness. And just like with this, this situation with this boxer, she's not getting any blowback. Gervonta got all the blowback.
No, I don't even think we know her name yet, do we?
No. Well,
I don't think they shared her Instagram.
Vanessa Passo.
Okay.
Vanessa Passo. And if you heard the 911 tapes, man,
yeah,
she was acting her ass off. But you know what? She never really kind of confirmed anything. Yeah, that's kind of what told me she was lying. You know what I mean? Because she just, every time the 911 officer was like, ma'am, where are you? She would never say where she was. Yep. She would never say who it was. She would never say who it was. And she would never say for sure if he was hitting on her or anything. She would just say, I want to go home. I can't go home. Please help me.
In any event,
we have to call that out more. You know what I mean?
We got 3 minutes.
But he picked her, so he got to deal with her. He picked her, so he got to deal with her.
Correct.
All right.
But what people need to do is just do more self-work. Take accountability for the things that are required for you to be successful at anything it is in your life that you're looking to do.
Even parenting, especially parenting. Yeah.
That includes parenthood, like hell. If you need to read some books, if you
do some classes.
This doesn't mean that's going to tell you the exact way to do it, but better educate yourself, man. Learn some psychology. Psychology is very important, and taking care of and raising another child. I deal with it. And I deal with it and have dealt with it in every class that I've taught children martial arts. You gotta have some psychology under your belt to properly interact with and build up and discipline these kids. You can't just go at it blindly, or it's not a good idea to go at it blindly. I'll say that. So make sure you do some of that work.
Absolutely, yeah. Be good parents.
The child deserves it.
Yeah.
They don't deserve an asshole who decided that they're basically living a video game, playing The Sims, trying to figure out how to get this kid to do whatever and be whatever. That's fucked up.
All right. Well, guys, we'll be back here on Thursday night. pop culture, and we'll be talking about Michael Irvin Walker. But also next Tuesday, Jackson Drumgool will be in the studio, not here but online, and talking with us about being a father, actually, and what it means to be a father in the black community and how we can help make things a little bit better and easier. So, yes, from the moment the child is born, they're given a birthday certificate and social security number. Yeah, children. Yeah, absolutely, the system. All right, guys, so.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Good job, guys. Linktree, CMCT_show. Search box is at the bottom of the Linktree website. Dummies. Fucking dumbass website. But go to the website. Search box is at the bottom, CMCT_show. Go ahead and tip us, and let's get this show ramped up just to migrate over to YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and take care of them goddamn kids. Prepare yourself if you want kids. All right, y'all have a good night.
Amen. No doubt.
Cool. Muscles on his lonely back. I stay calm and fact. I've been on the grind so long, hoes could never call me that. Please keep it short. I don't speak for all the rap. I'm your mechanic. I don't want no parts of whack. Keep throwing darts and wax. I'ma melt you. Every beat got a birthday. I just make it special. If you came to wrestle, maybe we can do that. Chapman bring the doses and show you where your shoes at. Exactly where the proof at. I ain't gotta prove stats. I don't need the hookup. I've been tired of blue black. Straight from where the news at. Lifestyle showdown. Story I survived. Made them live remotes down. Painting what I wrote now. I imagine it. I'ma grope the canvas. Every stroke is passionate. Ask him why he smashing shit. I'm just practicing so I can get it in when it's out. Ain't no accidents, for real. Absolutely. Please stop the BS. For real is on purpose. For real. Everything I do this for real. Every single time. I do this for real. That's all that I know. Please stop the BS. For real is on purpose. For real. Everything I do. I do this for real. Every single time. I do this for real. That's all that I know. Please stop the BS. For real is on purpose.
Wait, you press X.
I'm doing this right.
Nah, I was trying to see who the fuck it was that was on there still.
Temple with the seal bar smothering niggas. Composition war ready. I've been blundering niggas. Ain't no wonder with niggas. I'm filthy, but the props can't do what you watching me doing, bitch. Your spirit not freaking through the